welcome. It is so cold in Joburg, but I hope everyone is keeping warm enough. So yes, get those chocolate out, and what I love is also hot chocolate during this time. So please take those out and let's enjoy this winter, because I also love the winter season. Today we're having our very special, yes, Ann Richardson with us. Sister Ann, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's always a delight to talk to you.
Oh, thank you. And it's always just such an honor to be able to share wisdom with sense and just to talk about things that people need to know about.
Definitely. As you know, Sister Ann has been around for more than 30 years. She's well known as the baby whisperer. Please tell us a little bit, where does that come from? Because baby whisperer, I mean, everybody keeps on saying that.
I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that, it's easy to do a job well when you love what you're doing.
Obviously.
So, yeah, and it's just, as I say, just such a lovely honor to be able to have helped so many thousands and thousands and thousands of mums and dads and caregivers and everyone to just have a better parenting journey and a journey. Yeah, I love to just share wisdom, but with sense.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sister Ann. As you know, today we'll be covering the topic of midwives. May is also known as a midwife month, so we are here to create awareness about midwife. And Sister Ann, you are a nursing midwife, you are a breastfeeding expert, you are a mommy expert, you are a baby expert, but today we want to really concentrate on midwives. Tell us, we want to know from you, how did it start from you as a midwife for you to become a midwife?
Well, there's varying forms of how one can practice midwifery. So
Yes.
Technically, a midwife is an individual who has been trained to deliver babies.
Yes.
So myself personally, I did the qualification. I worked as a midwife for a couple of years, and then I decided to go into the pediatric world. So
Yes.
I sort of left the mommies behind as such, and rather just sort of focused on the babies.
Yes.
But the whole field is just so vast and so huge, and there's so much that we can actually do. They are the most incredibly educated, wonderful midwives out there. There are courses to do. There are doctors of midwifery. There are advanced midwives. They are just the most amazing people out there doing what they love. And, for as long as time has ever been known, it's always been a sort of a woman's thing. It's been a sacred thing. Let the woman help the other woman birth.
Yes.
And there is the most, I don't know if you've actually read it, there's the most amazing book called The Red Tent by an author called Anita Demont.
Yes.
And she writes, she takes it back to sort of biblical times,
Yes.
where in that world there was a group of women in each sort of cultural setup there. And she's just writing about this particular cultural setup where they just take care of the mum, and they're with her when they birth, and the village, they all help bring up the baby. They wash her, they feed her, they deliver her. The wisdom, the wise ladies teach the younger ones. And they look after her for a good few weeks after baby is born. That is also midwifery.
Yes.
It is the most amazing book. But everyone always thinks, the term midwife, that it's always a lady or a woman. But there are male midwives.
Nurses were only women. So you think midwife, nurses, and a doctor will be a male, of course. But I see times have changed, Sister Ann.
Absolutely. And the real term, and in fact, male midwives have been around.
Yes.
They're called accoucheuses. It's a French word. That's the name.
Okay, help me say it. They are called accoucheuses.
Accoucheurs, ACCOUCHERS. It's a French term, describing a male who helps women give birth, because you can't call a male midwife a wife, because technically a wife is a woman. So it's It's a fascinating field, and there are actually a lot of male midwives around,
Oh, wow.
and I just think it's wonderful. Imagine what amazing husbands they must be, and what amazing dads they must be, because they know so much more than the average dad or the average
Imagine them
husband or
raising those
partner.
beautiful kids and so on. They've got such knowledge where they come from and how they should be handled in this world.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So it's such a privilege to be with a mom while she's birthing her baby, and to birth a healthy baby. That is just fabulous.
Okay. As you say, they are always there to help birth the baby and help also the mom. What are some of the roles of midwives in this day and age? Because for me, yes, I did have a midwife, and I'm very, very fortunate. To this day, I will never forget the face of the lady who helped me with my firstborn, because I was having an emergency Caesar, and you could imagine I was not prepared for that. And I was like, this is so wrong. This is so wrong. But one of the words, Sister Ann, that she said to me was, as long as I'm here, it will be okay. So that was, I took that from first until beginning. I mean, sort of from first until end, because that, when she said that, as long as I'm here, it will all be all right. And she was there through it all, and I really appreciate her for that. So please take us through some of that. For me, she was only there for that time. Is that normal that you, every time you book into a hospital, a midwife is there, or they can also, you can have them part of your pregnancy and also after birth?
Okay. Yes, so it's very dependent on what sector you're in, whether you're choosing to go the public health route or the private health route.
Yes.
So in the public health setting, you would be booked into the antenatal clinic,
Yes.
and you are seen by a midwife at
Yes.
each visit, and doctors at specific intervals in the
Yes.
pregnancy. And then obviously, should there be complications, the midwives who are running the antenatal clinic would then sort of send you where you need to go.
Okay.
When you arrive at the birthing center and to the actual labor ward, you are usually assessed by the midwives. There's obviously a doctor who's overseeing everything, but a lot of the times the doctors are not involved in an uncomplicated delivery. The midwives take the mom, right the way through.
Yes.
And that's great. And a lot of midwives who do home births. So now we're sort of jumping into the private sector, where if you choose to not go the doctor route,
Okay.
to look after you in the private sector from an antenatal point of view.
Yes.
And a lot of the midwives who are, and there are a lot of fantastic, wonderful ladies out there who do run their own private practices.
Yes.
And they're your person. And you go and you have your appointments with the midwife as you would with your gynecologist.
Yes.
But all the midwives work with the backup of a doctor, an obstetrician, who is there to oversee should there be complications, etc., or like in your case, needing a C-section.
Yes.
And sadly, we do hear some stories in the public sector about how the moms, and that's really just due to lack of resources, understaffing. The moms who laboring away are pretty much left to their own sort of needs. And there isn't that person like your lady who said to you, as long as I'm here, everything's going to be okay.
That's such a comforting one, because remember, you are a first-time mom and you're thinking, no, my plan was to have a natural birth. What are you telling me now? How is it going to help? And what's the process? How am I going to feel afterwards? Stuff like that. So midwives, I really appreciate that, because she was there, because kind of takes you through the whole process. And when you see the face that you saw in your ward and she goes through that whole process with you, you're like, okay, fine. Even though the husband is there, but you're thinking, geez, she knows more than he knows. So we should be all
absolutely.
Awesomely.
Yeah.
So, and also you'd say, sorry, you say this goes way back to our heritage, and not to say heritage, but goes back to our olden days where women used to care for other women. When you say, I'm thinking maybe doula, what's the difference between doula and a midwife?
Okay, so a midwife is trained in the actual birthing process to help the mother birth. So she's often got a lot of sort of medical background, obviously in this day and
that's
age.
the difference.
Back in the day, they had learned from the wisdom of their elders that in
Yes.
many cultures, the older midwives sort of handpicked the younger ones and trained them to become the midwife. What a doula is it's a lay person, particularly back in the olden days, the
Yes.
doula and the midwife were one of the same, because
Oh,
it was that person who was there to help you, to guide you through your labor, to rub your back, etc., and then to deliver the actual baby.
yes.
In the more sort of private, more, first world environment that we live in now, the doulas are there to support the mom in her sort of emotional state, to rub the back, to help her along, but they're not involved in the actual delivery process.
Of the baby.
That is the midwife's job. The doula is there purely just for support for the mom and the partner, and to do all the sort of support and the cheerleading.
Okay, so during your birthing process, it is possible to have a midwife plus a doula during your birthing process.
Absolutely. A lot of moms choose to have a doula, a midwife, and a doctor.
Oh,
because
yes. Oh, yes.
Any midwife who knows what she's doing will always have the doctor on standby in case there's complications.
Oh, yes.
So, So, we're very lucky in the private sector because we can pick and choose, and we have access to really sort of good healthcare.
Definitely.
As I said, unfortunately, the world is so diverse. In any sort of public health setting, it's often not as easy as that.
Yes, yeah, I understand. Also like traumatic news are always coming through from the public sector of, birthing stories that you think no woman or no child should be born in such circumstances. And you thinking,
absolutely,
where's the humanity in all of this? But now just tell me, Sister Ann, with your 30 years of experience, and so when a lady, what advice do you have for women who are considering a natural birth or a cesarean birth? Just to get your mind ready. And if it does happen like me, that you had planned in your mind that you're having a natural birth and you go, oopsie, no, it's not happening. You're having a Caesar. I know it will be a lot to take during that time, because to say, Priscilla, listen, it's going to be okay. And you're thinking, no. But what advice do you have for women in the case that it happens, that you are told you're having a Caesar? How can you prepare for that? And how can you take that in and look at yourself and saying, this is what I have to deal with it, and let's deal with it?
Yeah. I think what one shouldn't be making that sort of decision and thinking those thoughts on the spot at the time.
Yeah.
You've got 40 weeks to sort of think about all of this before.
Yes.
So my advice is to keep an open mind. Don't be too rigid in your birth plan, because there is room for disappointment if things don't go according to plan. Mother Nature does funny things. We have beautiful sunsets, and then we have terrible storms and floods.
Yes.
So, it's unpredictable. So to have faith in your healthcare provider, that is the important thing, because us as healthcare providers, we don't wake up in the morning and say, let's go and create havoc out there and make people's lives difficult and practice bad medicine. We wake up in the morning and we want to practice good medicine, and we want to do good things. So we've always got the best interests of our client or our, mom. So to keep an open mind, do your research, know that things might not go according to plan, and embrace the fluidity of it. It is what it is. And think about the healthy outcome. At the end of the day, we want a healthy mum, and we want a healthy baby.
That's all we want.
Because without a healthy mum, we don't have a healthy baby. And, so that is the outcome that you've got to focus on. That you don't want an unhealthy baby just for the sake that you don't want to have a C-section. Or then you have a ruptured uterus and you bleed to death, and then what's the point? So really, just to not be too rigid in your birthing plan, and to keep an open mind, and to be informed, to learn. And these days there's so much information out there.
There is, Sister, and there's so much information out there.
Just to be and make informed decisions. based on your your health person's guidance. That's what I would say. But there again, as we all know, the difference between public and the difference between private, and it's not only in South Africa, it's across the board, across the world. Where, you know, it's kind of that same, it's saying it's not what you know, it's kind of who you know, you know.
Oh, wow.
But
Oh,
and
wow.
not to be disappointed, and to talk about it afterwards. If you are disappointed and you feel that you've let yourself down and you've let your baby down and you've let your partner down because you've ended up having to have a C-section, and we need to really change this narrative
I think so, Sister Ann. Yes, we do.
a cesarean section being an abnormal birth and a vaginal delivery being a normal delivery. Because
I think also we must change also the wording to it, hey? A normal birth, because you think now, because I didn't have a normal birth, it's not normal.
It's not normal. There are some vaginal deliveries that are far from normal and far from safe. And vice versa with the C-section. There's nothing abnormal about a C-section if there's a reason. And, you know, that because we're looking at a healthy mum and a healthy baby.
No, awesome.
So we do need to change the narrative there.
I think so, Sister Ann, because really at the end of the day, you're looking at the goal. As you say, it's for you to end up with a healthy mom and a healthy baby also. And afterwards, what you're saying is for us to go back and forgive yourself and let it go and say, you made it through and here we are. And that's why also, ladies and gentlemen, Baby Yum Yum is also there, and Wisdom with Sense is also there to give you such information, encouragement, and to take you through the process. So, but what I like most and what I take out of this is to have an open mind about this, you know, to have an open mind when you go through the whole of your pregnancy. As she says, Sister Ann says, you've got 40 weeks to plan, but what happens at the end, have an open mind. Anything can happen. Sister Ann, as always, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your wisdom. As you know, we're going to be translating this into our Zulu content, and because that's what we do. And also with us, what we do is we give you all the information. You know, we give you all the information. Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks, Priscilla. See you again. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.